My name is Larry Mazzu.
Mr. Mazzu.
Ho nasciuto in Giugno 3, 1938. Ok? And,
Why are you speaking Italian? They don't care. They want it in
perché
English.
queste persone sono italiane. Capisci?
They don't care.
I was born in Sicily, San Pietro di Milazzo, provincia Messina, Sicilia, Italia, in 1938, 1938.
And I'm his brother, Carmelo, in Italy, Carmen in America. I was born in Messina, I assume, or no, maybe it was near Messina, but I think it was the town of San Pietro. Sounds right.
You
San
were
Pietro.
born numero 81,
I don't know
via
what he's saying either.
Policastelli, San Pietro di Milazzo, provincia Messina, Sicilia, Italia.
Got that?
Got that?
That was the address.
That was the address.
Yes.
So it was June 3rd, 1938.
38. 38.
Okay.
1941, November 27. My dad said the 28th, but I believe my mother.
You can't forget that I'm the older brother, though.
Yes, he's the older brother.
Yes, thank you.
My first vivid memory of Sicily was when I was born. I know nobody believes that, but I actually believe I was born and being smacked. That's my first recollection. My brother says I was crazy. You don't believe that. But it's the Twilight Zone, and that's what I believe. I believe that's my first vivid memory. And then after that, I got a lot of them. I don't know if you want to hear them all, but I remember in the back of our house was an orange tree. God, I thought this orange tree was so big. I didn't realize I was so small. And I would tell people when we came over here that the orange trees in Sicily are big, big orange trees. They weren't big, it's just that I was small. They looked big to me. But just playing outside with the boys, with the kids, that's my first really memorable memories of there. And my grandmother. I remember my grandmother. She was a good-hearted woman, and she would put me on her shoulders. You have to visualize this. She had a pole with 2 buckets of water, one bucket here, one bucket there, just like in the old days. This is no lie. And I would be on her shoulders, and she would get the water, and I would be clutching onto her head. You know,
Jeez.
she was a beautiful woman. I loved her.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Wow. How
Remember
old
quite a
were
bit.
you then?
I had to be a little guy because I was on her head.
Jeez.
You know, I mean, how old could I be? I was 3 and a half. You know, I was only. We came over and
We
I
came
was
over
6 and a half. So I was small. I remember the house, black and white floors, just like we have in the kitchen now. And I remember my aunts lived with us. And I remember we had a cauldron.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And like in the wintertime,
Yeah.
you have coals in there. The reason why I remember is because I fell asleep and I burned my feet.
Yeah.
And I find that the stuff that you remember is not the stuff in between. It's the stuff that's out of the ordinary. You burn your feet on a winter night, you're going to remember. And things like that. I liked it. I liked it all. I loved it over there. I didn't know any better, but I loved it all. I'm serious about being born. Nobody believes that.
No, that's a little insane.
Well, it's probably I was just getting a bath and somebody hit me,
Could be.
But, I remember just like in The Godfather, they had the procession, when somebody dies, and a little friend of mine died. And they just, with the music and the procession, and I remember telling Uncle Larry that our little friend died, and just like in The Godfather, they would have the band and the casket, and they would go up the street, and it was really, it was like a little friend, and whatever he died from, I don't know, but I never forgot that.
You got a good
Forgot
memory,
that.
Carmen.
I remember like, you know how they have ice cream? Well, they, you know, like Jolly Rogers years ago in Philadelphia. Well, they had like a little stand, and you go there and you get ice cream. I remember buying that. I remember playing with the boys, you know, kids my own age, and they were mischievous. I remember there was a hole in the ground, and there was paper over it, you know. And I said, "What's in there?" And they told me, "Shit." You know. I said. They wanted to play a prank because somebody was walking. They're little bastards is what they were, you know. That's what it was. It really was that. I swear, it's crazy. But you know, I just asked, "What's the bag cover? What's under the bag?" They said, "There's a hole filled with poop."
Wow.
So Larry, what kind of paper was it that you put over the hole?
Well, it was a little
Oh,
different
God.
than what we have here.
And it's a funny thing too. I mean, Uncle Larry could chime in anytime he wants, but during Christmas, we used to go to people's houses and they would have like a Christmas tree. But the way we would have like balls and tinsel and all that, they would have fruit. So in case you got hungry, you could get a pear.
You
know?
remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
How old were you?
So how old was I? We came here when I was 6.5, so I was between that time frame. You know.
This
we
is not
came
a
here at
movie
6.5.
story, is it?
No, it's not. It's true. We would
okay.
go there, and that was Christmas. They'd maybe give you a dime or something, equivalent, a little bit of something. But on the tree itself was fruit. It wasn't tinsel. You know, it wasn't tinsel. And during Easter time, I think it was during Easter time, you would go to church and everything, and they had an area where there was all flowers. Beautiful, beautiful flowers, like artistry. I think if you saw one of those Italian shows in Italy, you know, about different times of the seasons, you would see little flowers. It was beautiful, beautiful like artwork, but it was real flowers. And it was, wow, you know, it was really something to see. And it was nice. And if you go to the seashore, we went to the seashore by where we lived. Couldn't have been too far because we used to walk. And you remember the spinning wheels with when they would do the yarn? It was about maybe 8 to 10. They were all dressed in black. They were all doing the yarn right on the beach and the ocean as a backdrop. It was great. I mean, I remember all that.
Well, you know, I'm amazed that he remembers that kind of detail. I wouldn't think he would remember anything except the cauldron situation.
I'll never forget that.
Where he burned his feet. We got to realize that in terms of time frame, we're talking about a period in 1936, 38.
No, for you maybe. I was born in 41.
Yeah. Well, for me, yeah. For
Born
me.
in 41. I didn't see that time frame.
41 you were born. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
November,
All right.
almost 42.
I'm more traumatized, affected by the war that occurred there.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about
Because
that.
I was older than him. So I was more cognizant in terms of what was going on. And so I just have 2 or 3 different situations that I recall. One was when the German soldiers forced 2 Italian soldiers to start digging. Basically, they were forcing them to dig their own graves. And I observed this, you know, from my house. And so it was pretty evident what they were trying to do. So I never forgot that. That must have been about 1946. The other thing that stays on my mind is when we took the boat over here. And my mother told me that I had a very important responsibility. I was told to make sure that he didn't fall off the ship, because he had a tendency to crawl and get to the edge of the ship. So I had to keep an eye on him. So I never forgot that. Keep an eye on Carmen so he doesn't fall off the ship. And the other was the German soldiers. I wasn't traumatized per se, but that continued to stay in my mind. If you know what I mean? Because I didn't have total comprehension of all the gravity and all the things that were going on. I'm not sure that how my parents tried to protect us from the war. I think everybody just tried to hang in there as best they can, and there were troubled times, you know. I don't remember anything specifically. Perhaps, you know, subconsciously, you don't realize how certain things affect you. And that could have been, you know, I didn't have any great desire to really return after experiencing that, I suppose. So, well, of course, my father moved here first, and then we came a couple years later. That doesn't stand in my mind in terms of being traumatized or really affected by the leaving. I do have a recollection of the two aunts that moved to Australia, Antoinette.
And Conchetta.
Right. And Conchetta.
And Maria.
Oh, and Maria, there were three.
Three. I said two, didn't I? Okay. So that was interesting. And also my uncle, Joe, who moved to Australia prior to my aunt's leaving. And he had a jewelry store that he opened up, and he became very successful. So he called them over, and subsequently they moved. So I always thought that was interesting. That was a faraway place, Australia. But the boat ride was fine, except I had this awesome responsibility, keeping this kid from trying to run off the ship. And I said, Mom, you know, I'm tired of doing this. But, you know, what are you going to do? I did save him, though, because he had a tendency to crawl around the edges.
But I was,
Oh, my
I was
God.
6.5. I mean, I wasn't crawling anymore, was I?
Didn't you learn anything in school?
Huh?
6.5?
I loved every moment of it. Every moment of it.
What do you remember?
I remember we're leaving, I was 6.5. Are you kidding? It was an adventure. You get picked up by a stagecoach with horses. That's great. That's what they picked us up with from the town. We went on a stagecoach. What kid don't love a stagecoach ride? Right?
Well, we were important people. That's
Yeah,
why.
so we went to the stagecoach, and everybody's saying goodbye. The aunts are crying. I'm happy. You know? All I know is we're going somewhere, but we're taking us a stagecoach. Oh, my God. I
Yeah,
got
that
on
was
the
neat.
stagecoach, and
Yeah.
we went on the train. This is wonderful stuff, you know? Then we went on the train, and we ended up going to Naples, I think. That's where we picked up this Polish ship, the Belinsky or something like that. We were in a I guess some kind of apartment or room, and we were hungry as hell. I mean, really hungry. So I told my mother, man, I'm hungry, you know? So she said her cousin Stefano was coming. And he came over with a loaf of bread finally, and it was like filet mignon. You know, it was like filet mignon. Oh my God, you know. Then we went on the ship, and the ship was great. I love the ship, you know. Man, oceans, and this was wonderful stuff, you know. I remember finding a coin in a bar area. And I remember giving the coin to Grandma. And I heard later she bought a beer with it. And, you know, she
Was
bought
it
a beer
good
with
beer?
I guess, I don't know. But I loved it. You know, we went there. We before we landed in New York, they gave us like a big, almost like a New Year's Eve kind of party. Party hats and the streamers. And I don't remember ice cream, but I do remember cake, you know? And we had this twangers and everything, you know? And then we're waiting to, we must have went through Ellis Island, because I remember my dad, I was being separated from him, just like you see in the movies with all the suitcases and everything, like in the Godfather movie. It was like all them piles and piles of suitcases. So what happened was they took my picture. In fact, you know my little picture. Here it is, that little one where I was scared to death. And so I got separated from my father, and they took this picture. And then after that, we got off of there. I remember being on the ship, and my uncle Dominic from Glassboro, we're supposed to get picked up, and get taken to Glassboro. And this guy's going, "Hey, Grace, Grazia, but it's Grace, So I told my mother, "This man's calling your name." Sure enough, it was Uncle Dominic. So we got in the car, we went to Glassboro, and we went to his house. And me and Larry's there just waiting there. I guess we're going to get something to eat. So they come over with a bowl of, what's that green?
Spinach.
Spinach, yeah, a bowl of spinach. So I told my brother, so we came this far, I said, "What is this stuff?" So
Grass.
it looks like grass, I said, "I ain't eating this stuff. I haven't eaten it since."
He's been fussy ever since.
The only spinach I eat is maybe chopped up a little bit with soup, but I won't eat that lumpy. I said, "I ain't eating this." I said, "Come this far, they're going to give us grass?" I said, "I ain't eating it." That was it. So then we moved to the house on Poplar Street, and there was a nice bowl of fruit there. I remember too, it was from the Juntas.
Oh, the Juntas.
Yeah, it was the Juntas. They had a bowl
Right.
of fruit there, And it was real nice. That's when we moved there.
Good stuff.
It was good stuff. Then we went to St. Bridget's School. I remember going to St. Bridget's School, and across the street from St. Bridget's School was Joe's Sub Shop. In fact, Joe's Sub Shop is still there. And he died. He died when he was a young man, and his two sons became a lawyer and a judge, Judge Lisa in Woodbury.
Judge Lisa, right.
Yeah, he became a judge. But I remember him dying as a young man. I remember I was a kid, and we went there, and these guys, 4 or 5 guys, were saying they wanted me to sing a song, And I said, "No." They said, "Well, sing a song for us. We'll give you a little something." So I sang a song. And great, and they gave me a little coin, They wanted me to sing another one. But I heard them laughing. I thought they were making fun of me. I never sang another song. That was it. No more music for them.
He could have been another Enrico Caruso.
No,
Well, that traumatized him.
I thought they were laughing at me. And I couldn't stand the thought of somebody laughing at me. I thought they were making fun of me. So I didn't sing no more.
Wow.
They were probably just getting a kick out of a little kid singing, singing an Italian song. But
I'm trying to remember grandmoms.
I'll chime in. She was a
Gaetano,
she was a,
Gaetano, that's it.
Gaetano.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was, right.
she was a seamstress.
Right. That's right.
I think
was
she
that-
got picked up, and I think she used to work in Vineland.
She was. Yeah,
If I'm
Yeah.
correct.
you're right.
And Daddy was a
Barber.
barber, and then
He worked with his cousin.
he worked with his cousin. Yeah. You're right. What else? Yeah, I remember next to Joe's Sub Shop, there was a fruit stand. Not a fruit. There was a building, and it was Mr. Polito. His name was, and it was like a produce. He sold produce, So it must have been very early when we came here, because I don't even remember this. I don't remember eating a banana in Sicily. I don't, because it was during the war years, right after. There was nothing. There was nothing. So I remember going there. I saw all these bananas, and then I come home and I see all these bananas there. I said, "Mom, where'd you get all these bananas?" So I said, "Daddy got them from Mr. Polito." I said, "Yeah, I ate 6 of them. I ate 6 bananas." I told my mother, I said, "Boy, mangia buona in America," which means you eat good in America, mangia buona in America, And just stuff like that.
It's funny what stands out in your mind.
Yeah, it does.
Bananas.
It really does. It really does. I remember going to school in Italy. One day. That's all I remember is one day. I remember we had them little wooden things, and I remember writing ones. That's all. The next thing I know, I was on a boat. That's all I remember. Just once. I hated it when I was a kid. I mean, over here. I had such a complex. Oh, I had such a complex. Took me years to get rid of that.
From what?
I just didn't want to be different. After a year, I didn't even have an accent.
Oh.
I did not even have an accent.
Oh.
But when that nun said, this is Carmelo Mazzu and he's from Italy, I wanted to crawl. You know, because when you're a kid, you want to be like everybody else.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to be different.
Right.
You do not want to be different.
And those nuns were tough.
You know?
They were
And
tough.
the more they made me different, the more I hated it. You know, but that's
You
what
had
it was.
certain names for some of those nuns, didn't you?
No,
No?
no.
You're not going to divulge it now.
I really didn't.
Oh,
No,
okay.
they were okay. I mean, they were good to me. I'll tell you something. No, they were good to me. I went there to first grade, and the juntas. There was two different sets of juntas. One on Poplar Street, right across from where we lived, and further up there was other juntas. One worked in a cafeteria. Now you got to picture this. I'm a kid, I guess first grade, and the whole school had red sauce. I didn't like red sauce in those days.
Still does it.
No, I love red sauce now.
Really?
But yeah, and one time they had beets. I hate beets. I don't never want to eat a beet ever. I still don't. I hate beets. Well, anyway, the whole school's having red sauce, right? So I told she liked me. This I forget her name, but her last name was Junta. Bessie Junta. Bessie
yeah.
Junta, yeah.
She was a cook, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was a cook.
Yeah,
she was a
right.
cook over there. So she made me aioli. She made me macaroni, pasta with oil. The whole
was
school got red,
It was
but
always
I got
fussy.
oil.
Always fussy. Had it been different?
I loved her. Why wouldn't you? She catered to me a little bit. She was so nice. She was so nice.
Yeah. They were
So
good
nice.
teachers.
Well, anyway, you asked me. The day I really grew up, though. The day I really grew up was I was pushing 17, and I saw my mother. She was hanging clothes. I just realized everything they did, you know. I just grew up that day. I was never the same after that. I just grew up. Back when I going out with Mommy, she said she thought I was born 40. I became like night and day. I became serious. I wasn't the same kid anymore. I knew life wasn't a joke anymore, you know? And I just realized everything they did for me, and I was grateful. That was it. It's like one day you're here, and the next day you ain't the same. And I don't know what set it off either. I just saw her hanging clothes, and I just realized just what they did for me. And I appreciated it. That was it.
This is an emotional time.
Yeah, very. Very. If you ever get a chance to go to Italy, I mean, there's all kinds of beautiful places in this world. God knows He made so many beautiful places. But it is truly a gifted land. It has everything. It has the mountains, the oceans, the scenic beauty. It will seduce you if you do go. You'll fall in love with it. You'll never go once. I mean, if you go once, you'll want to go back. It's a very, very beautiful country. And when I went there, I was very emotional. I've only been there. I've been there a few times. You know how many times. Probably about 8 or 9. And it's not enough. I mean, plus other places. There's so much beauty in the world. You know, and there really is. There's really a lot of beauty in the world. Now, if we can get the people to act that way all over the world, that would be a good thing. That would be a good thing, because people are great. Let me tell you, I've met a lot of different people, and they want everything that you want. Good people I'm talking about. They just want the same thing you do. Just want to have a nice, happy life,
Yeah,
without fear and stuff like that.
That's a human concern,
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was great. I mean, I loved it. I loved it all. We went to Argento one time, and it took 4 people to put your arms around this olive tree. It was 1,000 years old and it's still bearing fruit. It was unbelievable. 1,000 years old, still bearing fruit. They have more Greek temples in Sicily today that are in better condition than there is in all of Greece. Today, there's more Greek temples there than
Yeah, I'm not
than anywhere.
surprised. Yeah. Who's growing older? I just turned 78. I still got some time. I hope. I don't know. Do you know something I don't know? It is amazing. I thought about it the other day, and I said, you know what? I'm still lucky to be here. And so we take one day at a time, you know. You have to develop some sort of philosophical perspective. Otherwise, you could be depressed. And I'm not depressed. No, it's an inner thing, an inner perspective, an acceptance of the reality of life, that I have lived my life. And it's okay, you know, if I cross the street tomorrow and that's the end of Larry. I think you live your life as best you can, whatever interests you, and you know, just try to enjoy it, because you're only going to come around once. So I don't have any real, you know, goals beyond that.
I have a little different perspective on it. I think that too many people, they keep saying, when I retire, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. So what happens is that when they retire, they don't have the health, they don't have the means maybe, and they end up staying home, and they have regrets. I think you should have a balance in life. You shouldn't wait till you retire, because you never know how your body is, how you're gonna respond to this. You got to do things when you're in the bloom of youth, so you can enjoy it 1,000 times better than when you're older. You know, you just are, because you got more enthusiasm. You have a more zest for life. So I did mine in stages. I didn't deprive any of yous anything. Yous came first. The family came first. Then if I could do a couple things with me and Mommy, I did. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. Because if I had to wait to everything in my 60s, well, me and Mommy would have done very little.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Very, very little. So these people, they keep saying, oh, I'm going to do this when I'm older. And then you go find out it's only a husband and wife. They got plenty of money, and they think they're going to take it with them. Well, they're going to get a big surprise. They're not going to take it with them.
That's true.
And you lose the moment. You lose the moment. I really didn't think about age till I hit 60. When I hit 60, I started to think of my mortality a little bit. Then when I hit 70, I thought about it more. Then I knew, like, this is more or less going into the danger zone. And I'm okay with that. Oh, believe me, I'm okay with that. If I go tomorrow, I go tomorrow. I'm okay with it. I did the best I could for my family. I never hurt anybody. I wasn't perfect, but I thought I was a good person. And if somebody says I was a good person at my eulogy or something like that, I'd be very
Did a
grateful
good
for
job,
that.
Carmen.
I'd be very grateful for that. So I don't care. My biggest fear is I don't want to be a burden to anyone. I just want to, one day I'm here and the next day I'm gone. Now, I've been lucky so far. I'm assuming God will do that for me. I would like to, you know, go to bed and it's over. That would be a very, very good ending. And that's okay. I mean, you should have a frown on it, because I lived my life. I know too many of my friends that died young. So I have no regrets in that respect, you know. None at all.
That's a
Not
good
at all.
view.
Not at
That's
all.
a good view.
And I'm just sorry that I couldn't get my brother to go all these years to go back. That's one of my regrets. That he never got to see what's really out there through grown-up eyes. Because now you go to Sicily, there's an old saying, if you go to Sicily and don't visit Monterey, which is a sister city to Montreal, Canada, they have the most beautiful mosaics in the world. It's the number one in the world. This church, you know. They say if you go to Palermo and you don't go to Monterey, you're a horse's ass. Because in Sicily they got a saying for everything. They got a saying for everything. So it's that's the only thing. I don't know how many times I must have spoken to Uncle Larry and say, why don't you go to this? I could never convince him to go. He must have had his own reasons. I respect them. Mm-hmm. But that, I would have loved for him to see it, like I would love for you to go, and anyone else, really, you know. But that's it. I couldn't get him to go. If he would go now, leave the wives home because they couldn't make it, I would still go back with him. I would go. I would go if he would go.
Not really.
See what I mean? So it's like Grandpa. It's like Grandpa, Mommy's father. He was born there. Grandpa's, Mommy's dad. He was born in Palermo, and he came over when he was 4 years old. Go back, go back, go back. Nobody wanted to go back. Nobody wanted to go back. So now he's pushing 80. He wants to go back.
No, I don't think so, Carmen.
Okay. So I was going to take him back with me, but guess what? He was too ill. You know, you could wait too long. He waited too long. So you didn't go.
Well,
Uncle Larry,
it's a matter of perspective. It doesn't mean that much to me. You know, I have a different perspective of Italy, Sicily, the world, whatever. But it's okay for Carmen to have his view. But not everybody shares that kind of perspective. So it wouldn't mean that much to me, you know?
You know, the world's a smorgasbord, and they keep getting pasta, you know? They keep going for pasta, pasta, pasta. The world's a smorgasbord, and they keep going to the same dish,
He's ready for drama.
okay? Same dish. I went to Greece, and I saw this woman that was older than me at the time. I must have been in my 40s. She must have been in her 60s or older. And she was Greek. And we went to the top of, the Parthenon. And she was looking at it. And let me tell you something, it was very moving. She said to me, not to me, she was talking out loud and she was crying. And I saw the tears and she goes, oh my, it must have been the first time she was there. She goes, oh my God, these were my people. I never forgot that. These were my people. This is where I came from. It was like tears coming down her eyes. And that really got to me. It really hit home, you know?
I'm not as dramatic as my brother is.
So Daddy's dramatic?
Well, I think he has a greater depth of feelings. You know, he can appreciate things a lot more than I do. I was more of a office manager type. As a matter of fact, I was director of employee relations at the bank. My job was to hire and fire people. I worked at the Federal Reserve Bank for about 31 years in Philadelphia. And I worked in personnel throughout that time. And I was basically director of employee relations at the bank that I served. And my job was to discipline people, fire people, hire people, all those beautiful things. So my perspective on the Acropolis, those street ruins, is a little bit more pragmatic from that point of view. I'm not as emotional. I don't appreciate the intensity that my brother has in terms of the Greek objects that he spoke about and the land there. I could look at it and say, that's nice, yeah, okay. Now, where was Philadelphia? That I didn't hurt anybody, that I purposely, and that I was a decent person. In terms of accomplishments, doesn't matter. In terms of where I went and studied or traveled to, it really doesn't matter. It's how they view me as a person.
I just want them to, I guess, remember that I was if I could help somebody, I would. I didn't want to ever hurt anybody intentionally. And that life is beautiful and that you have to make the best of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And as I went on in life, I found out that I felt like I could do anything I wanted to do if I could have got exposure to it. I really did. I had a lot of confidence in that respect. If I could get exposed to it. That's why I learned that education is really big. Because if you don't have that, you don't have, it's like eating pasta every day. Like I said, the world's a smorgasbord, and people don't understand that, you know? And I just think there's so much out there, and I just want them to know that I love them all, and I tried to be a good person, and I want them to be good persons, and I just want to know the value of education and just really get exposed to different things, because you really don't know what's inside of you until you get some exposure in different fields. You may not be good at everything, but I guarantee you'll be good at something.
You're a good person, Carmen.
I would tell them just basically what I just said, you know, just to do your best in life. You know, just give it your best. If you give it your best shot, you're okay. But if you don't give it your best shot, you'll never know for sure whether you could have done it. So just give it your best shot. You don't have to be proficient in everything, but I guarantee you, if you keep trying, something good will happen. But if you stop trying, nothing good is going to happen. That's what I would tell them. You got to keep plugging away. You got to just keep plugging away. I really believe my kids are good human beings. And I'm blessed for that. And I'm grateful. I think they all have good hearts. They all care about people. And that's great. I'm very happy with that. You would never listen.
Ooh, pull that finger back.
Booby, you could scare her a little bit. And she would listen. Dawn would always be by my side. I loved her. She'd always be a daddy's little girl, you know? That was Dawn. You were a little independent. Booby was somewhat independent. Dawn, she's still right by my side.
Hooray for Dawn.
If she don't think I ate, I could have had a meal. She'll say, "You hungry?" No, I ain't hungry. I just ate all this. All he is, thank God, you have both me and Mommy. I think all he is have an independent streak, which is good. And I think you care. You all care. And I'm grateful for that, because you all have good hearts. And Mommy has a good heart, you know? And I hope I have half of the good heart that she has. And that's what I see. I see all he is really being, you care about people. You feel. And that's strong. Don't take lightly of that. That's a very good thing to have. There are people in this world that have no feeling. That's why they're evil in the world. You know, but I think that I try to impart in you that there's good and bad. So I just want you, when you do leave, you know, and you go someplace, just be aware of your surroundings. I know you are good people, but they're not all like you. They're not all the same. There is evil in this world, and you got to watch for it. But use yourself. You are all good people, good feeling people, and I'm so happy about that. They use care. Use care. That's great. That's a good thing to have. It's a great quality. I'm proud
Well, you
of that.
did a good job of rearing these lovely ladies.
Well, I think Mama had a bigger part in that because
I'm sure.
she had a bigger part in it.
Sure.
She's a wonderful person, your mother. I met her when I was 17, and I liked her from day one. She liked me, I guess. And 3 years later, we were married. So I'm okay. So we've been 54 years married. I mean, how could you beat that?
We've been married now about 49 years.
A paltry sum. My little brother. Oh, he's my big brother.
We don't have any children. It just worked out that way. But we're happy with each other. She puts up with me, and I put up with her, and that's a secret of married life. But it's the love, the acceptance, being able to overlook some things, small things, and that's about it, I think, if you want to have a relationship. And
I just love your mother. She puts up with me and I put up with her. I ain't perfect and neither is she. But
you're not perfect?
no,
Oh,
far from it.
okay.
But, truly care about each other. Oh, that's a Jerry Blavat theme song. I would get all the kids. They were all young. They'd be on a step and I go, do, 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 do. And you have all these kids going, do, 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 do. They all remember that. They all remember that. They're all on the steps in the backyard.
Wow.
6 of them, or if there was friends too that came with them, they would all be doing the Jerry Blavat, do, 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 do. Ask Ronald. He remembers it. They all do.
La stessa canzone. The same old stuff.
Yeah, I remember them. They're just going in the pool. It was like a summer day, and they would all be in their swimming suits, doing the Jerry Blavat theme song. It's cute.
So you had an impact on them.
I don't know if I had an impact.
What has stayed the same and what has changed? I think that I still try to appreciate people as much as ever. What's changed is the acceptance of the fact that things are not always pleasant, people are not always as nice as they ought to be. There's evil in this world sometimes, but you do the best you can. I think that expresses it more than anything else. Do the best you can.
I never really realized it, but I didn't know any prejudice till I came here. It was actually, I had to learn it,
What is here?
in America.
In America.
And what I found out is that people, good people, with good hearts, want the same thing you do. But there's good and bad, and all kinds of people. I think you just can't label somebody just pure or bad, or pure or good for that matter. So I found out there's a combination of both. And I think you have to surround yourself with good people. And that if you can help somebody, it doesn't cost you that much. Help them. Just help them. They'll appreciate it. You may not even realize it, but one little thing means so much. Like Barbara's friend, I forget her name, with Matt. Beth. And they used to go out as kids, and I would tell them to be careful, and I would tell her to be careful too. Never realized that how much of an effect it had on Beth. She almost looked at me as a second father because I cared about her well-being. And I'm just saying,
That's nice.
all right, Beth and Barbara, you just make sure, I know you're going out, but you make sure you get back in time and whatever. I didn't realize how much that meant to her. till she one day expressed that to me. And it was very moving. In fact, it was over at Barbara's house, and she read this thing about me, and I don't know what it was for. I don't know, it was my birthday or something. I never realized that it affected her that much, you know? It was a small thing on my part. I just wanted them to be okay and, you know, watch out for the bad people, so to speak. And so you never really know the effect you have on people. So if you can help somebody, even in a small way, it's a good thing. All right, just to give you an example, I saw a black guy. I went to school with black kids. I had no problem. Until you start hearing, oh, they're this, they're that, you know. You don't know, you're a kid.
Yeah.
But I never had no problem with anybody. I liked them. Now, if they were mean to me, I didn't like them, but you could be mean to me and I won't like you either. But, you know, all that aside, people are just people everywhere. They just want basically what you have, good people, good life, you know. And then we have more in common than we don't have in common. And the beauty of life is that the difference in people is a good thing. How could you get all that good Italian food if Italians weren't making it? Or that Greek food? Or that Cuban food? It's all different. It's great. It's like us talking about the smorgasbord of life. People don't know what's out there. They keep going to the same table and keep getting the same old tired food. And there's so much out there, and they just don't avail themselves to it. Sad, you know? My brother keeps liking pork chops all the time. I mean, you gotta get it, you know, try something else.
You know what, Carmen? I'm really proud of you.
I don't know why.
I mean, you really have a good perspective. And I think you did a great job with your children. And Barbara still tolerates you, so that's a good thing. So I think you succeeded in life.
I tried to do the best I could. I think God took a special interest in me. I don't know why, but He was always there for me when I called on Him. No, every time I called on God, He answered my prayer. My brother's a good person. He's really a good person. But I can't get him to go to a different side of the smorgasbord table. You know? He just keeps going to that same old tired food. I've been trying for years. It got to the point where I think he beat me.
Did
You know?
I beat you?
I say to myself, I might as well not even try anymore. He ain't gonna do it. You know?
Oh, my.
I know my brother likes structure. That's good. You gotta have structure. But you gotta deviate from that structure. You gotta sort of like get lost once in a while. As an older brother, I respected him a lot. I really did. Because he went to high school and then he worked. And then he went to college, and it took him 7 years to finish college while he was working. He went to night school. I thought that was pretty resourceful to do something like that, and said something about his intent, his desire to want it. He wanted it, and he got it. I always respected that. And I can't stand lazy people. You know? There's too many people that just lazy. There's so much out there, and then they just sit, wonder why it ain't coming to them. Well, you gotta help yourself a little bit. I was always saddened somewhat that I had my father that was a terrific guitar player and a mandolin player, and he played on the radio, that I never took it up. He could have taught me, and I was sorry later that I didn't, because I love music. I was sorry later that I never pursued it, because I had the teacher right in front of me. I just wanted to go out and have fun. Right now, I just like to get up at a reasonable time. And that's why I hate winter. That's why I hate winter, because I'm cold. There's nothing to do. That's also the reason why I love spring and summer. I'm out in the yard all the time. You see the yard. I put a lot of effort into it. I try to make it look nice, and that occupies a lot of my time.
What be the judge of that, Carmen?
You can be the judge.
Okay. I'm not sure that I am any different, special, or anything like that, you know? I have high regard for this guy
I don't know why.
because he really overcome a lot of things to succeed in the manner that he did. You know, I had the easier route. I worked in an office and did those things, and then I went to college and got a better job in an office setting. But I think he has accomplished much more than I have. You know, from the things that, from the values that he's given his children, and that the effort that he has put through life and did the things that he did. I'm proud of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just like to roll the dice a little bit, you know?
Well, I think
You gotta take
that,
a chance, you know?
that takes
If you're
courage.
scared of failing, you ain't never gonna win.
That takes courage, Carmen. Give yourself a little credit.
I don't
Not everybody could do the things that you did.
I don't know if it's credit or
No, I'm telling
I don't
you
know what
the
it
truth.
was.
I'm telling you the truth.
I just felt like, why not me? 50s and 60s, I loved the music. The sad part was I never realized how good they really were till later, much later. They were so talented, so good, the singers, you know? And everything. That's why, it's just, they were so good. Now I can't even understand them. I can't understand the words they're saying. I could just sing along with them. Can't understand them. But boy, them singers from the past are, whew, wow, they were good.
What part of the past are you talking about?
50s and 60s,
50s and 60s. I agree with that.
even 70s,
Yeah.
you know?
Same.
50 and 60, yeah. I think the music was more upbeat, more melodic. People were really into it. They felt it. Watching bandstand, I mean, it was great stuff. And so I really was into that.
I believe in common sense. Common sense take you a long way, you know?
But people are more motivated by emotions and feelings and the pursuit of money. So common sense is,
You need money, but it can't keep you,
afterthought.
you know, but it's not your God.
Oh, I know
when
that.
somebody says, I
I
love
love
money, oh boy.
yeah.
Thank you for telling me because I know what you are. You know, I'll watch my back with you because they'll kill you.
Yeah.
I remember when we went into business the first time, and my partner, I don't want to mention his name, he's basically a good person, but he had a little Napoleon complex.
Oh.
And I think we were in a year in, God, we didn't have no money. We were so much in debt, you know? And he goes to me, Carmen, you got power. You got power over these people. So what power I got over these people? What are you talking about? He goes, you hold their lives in your hands. I said, I hold my lives in the hands. I said, I got 2 cents to rub together, I said. I said, they work for us for what we paid them, and we pay them for what the work they do. Never mind, I got no, I said, well, you got no power over them. He thought he was the boss, his power. Ah, jeez. You're right.
Yeah.
You think you know somebody and, yeah. Used to like to go to casino. Mr. C. Mr. C. Yeah, well, I want
Big
your
shot.
money. They got your money and now you're Mr. Zero. No more money? Get out of here. I believe they did.
I think I think they did too. They had a different tradition than perhaps those who were born in this country, were raised a little differently. My father worked hard, and so did my mother, you know. So they were very hardworking people. And I think that helped to strengthen their marriage. and do the best they can. And I think they did.
I don't think it was arranged. No.
I'm inclined to agree with Carmen, but I can't say that for a fact. But I think, I don't think people arrange marriages to the degree that you think
They did.
they did. You know, there was this perspective, or this view that in the old days, you know, this is how things are done. But yeah, I'm not sure about that.
My dad told me that things were rough over there after the war. He says you'd work 2 weeks for a shirt, to buy a new shirt, and it would fray, you know, wasn't good. And my dad was a hard worker. Not only that, he was a barber in Italy, but he also was a dentist. You went to get a haircut, you want your tooth pulled, he pulled your teeth out too. You know, really. No, this is true. And
He had a pair of pliers.
and
is
he
what
worked
had.
and he worked for a doctor. He worked for a doctor. He was leech man. He used to put leeches, you know, they used to put leeches to draw out blood. So he did whatever he could to make a buck. But I'll tell you one thing, it broke my heart. I must have been 19, 20 years old. I don't think I was married yet. And Grandpa never had a car. He was going to get a car. He did get a car. But he had a dream that he died in it, and he got rid of the car. So he never
Ooh.
had a car, you know? But I remember him telling me once, he says, you know, Carmen, he goes, you could work hard all your life. He goes, I worked hard all my life. He says, but you know what? You need a little bit of luck, too.
That's right, yeah.
And then the thing he said after that was, I worked hard all my life, but I never had no luck.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, got to me, you know? He goes, I never had no luck. It's true. You could be a hard worker, and how many hard workers you may know. But for some reason or another, they just don't have any luck. Something doesn't push them in a direction where they'll do better, you know? Life's a funny thing, it really is.
I remember him
Some are
saying
blessed
that,
and
yeah.
some are not so blessed. And you often wonder why. You know, you often wonder why. Why him? Why me? And look at that poor bastard, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the way he said, he goes, I never had no luck. I looked at him, I said, oh, God. You know?
Yeah.
I said, I felt so bad. I felt so bad. Because I never had no luck, Carmen. Always worked.
Always worked. She
She was a
worked in a
seamstress.
clothing factory.
She used to get picked up every morning. They would go to Vineland. I think
That's right.
I think it was in Vineland,
It
New
was.
Jersey, which is about from Glassboro, I guess about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They worked, both of them worked all their life.
I think we watched. Well, we stayed close to home. I think the landlord lived next door, like Mr. What was his name?
Sottile.
Sotili, yeah. Sotili, yeah. You know, we never had a bathtub in that house. We used to have the round tub. You got in, you got washed. You were a kid, you know? That's how I remember my mother gave me a bath there. So, you know,
You did what you could.
yeah, you didn't know no better anyway.
And you didn't feel deprived,
No, I didn't feel
which is the
deprived.
thing, you know?
I had a good childhood. I really did.
Yeah.
That
a
whole,
very good point.
that whole block on
So we
Popular
didn't feel
Street
deprived.
no,
Right.
was all Italians. Across the street from us was a black family. I forget. I always remember his name, Jim. Nice man, tall guy, you know. But you never saw him. I used to think he was invisible. I swear to God, I never saw him. But he was a nice family, you know. And
It was a good neighborhood.
yeah, he was a good person. You know what they did in them days, which I didn't really care for. I didn't go in. You died, they had the funeral in the home.
Yeah, the parlor, that's
The
where.
I remember on Popular Street, someone died, and you saw the casket through the window. I didn't go inside. That was a little too little. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
But they had the casket in the parlor, so
that's
what
true.
they used to call the parlor.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know? But outside of that, it was a good childhood.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Tony Delia, we would go on bikes. We went on a bike, and I would sit on the handlebar, you know, and we fell. We fell, right? I got all scratched up. I'm thinking I'm going to get hugged when I go home, you know. I'm bruised. Mommy saw me. I mean, my mother saw me. I got a beating from her for being on the bike that I should have never felt.
You dumb thing.
What sympathy? No sympathy.
What
No
sympathy?
Not
No,
my father.
mommy.
My father was a sweetheart. He was a sweetheart. He never hit me. One time he pretended to hit me. For whatever reason, it was Christmas. One time though, I was a kid. I used to like to play cards. That's how I bought my first car.
Gambling?
1950 Oldsmobile. God, I wish I had that today. Yeah, gambling. I used to play cards with men. I mean, they were men and much older than me. And I played cards on Saturday night. Good. Game got home early and went to bed. The next week, I won $125. Then the next week, we played again on Saturday night. Good. I won another $125 playing poker. But this time the game was late. So I'm going to go home now. This is like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe. I walk in. What do I see? I walk in, right? I walk in and I see my dad on the right? He's on the right. I didn't say a word, so I walked in. He says, "Where were you?" I said, "I was playing cards." And I'm walking by him. All of a sudden, he hits me in the head. He slaps me in the head.
I'll teach you.
But what was so funny was that I'm laughing after he hits me because he barely touched me, you know? He barely touched. He didn't hit me, but he went through the motion.
Yeah, right.
He didn't hit me. And then I bought that car, $250. It lasted 6 months. Well, I was always a little lucky, you know? But it lasted 6 months, and then it was gone. But I never forget, he hit me in the head. He slapped me in the head, and I'm keeping from laughing. He didn't hurt me. He didn't put nothing behind it.
He didn't want to
nothing.
hurt you.
No, just wanted to make a point. What have I been doing staying out so late? He didn't care if I gambled. I mean, he didn't care if I was playing, but, come home, you know? He never hit me, though. Never.
Interesting what you remember, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Can you imagine going to the moon? 100 years ago, 120 years ago, they didn't even have air conditioning. And going to the moon? Are you kidding? I put on the TV. I still don't understand how them pictures are men or women. I shut it off, they're gone. I don't understand it. I know these rare earth, but I just can't get it in my brain. They have these precious metals called rare earth, right? And I say to myself, what kind of properties do they have that I can get my image transported? This is like phenomenal. This is like the Twilight Zone. I still, put on the TV. You're looking at a show. Live.
extraordinary,
Shut it off,
yeah.
it's gone. How could it be?
Mm-hmm.
What did they do, come through that wall? I mean, I don't understand it.
Was there an era before TV?
If there was, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I'm all struck as well with the moon landing. That's, to me, has to be the most significant achievement. I mean, you say the computer, but really, going to another planet is a different situation.
For me, it was two events. I remember when Kennedy got assassinated. That was big. That was really big. I was working on a woman because I was doing hair at that time, and it came over the radio. That the president got assassinated, and they, and this poor woman. I remember the shop was like quiet, really quiet. And I remember this woman's. Started crying. I still got a picture of my face. She'd walk in there, right through that door, I would know who it was, But, of course, she's long gone because she was old then. And I remember she was quiet and just tears rolling down her eyes. That was a big event. That was a big event. knowing that we could be heard like that. That and the moon landing in '69, that was big. That was really big,
Really?
really big. That's my two biggest events.
Yeah,
But-
that's
but I
right.
remember that
exactly.
whole- that
It's a
whole-
very good point.
That whole block on
So we
Popular
didn't feel
Street
deprived,
no,
right?
was all Italians. Across the street from us was a black family. I forget. I always remember his name, Jim. Nice man, tall guy, you know. But you never saw him. I used to think he was invisible. I swear to God, I never saw him. But he was a nice family, you know. And
It was a good neighborhood.
yeah, he was a good person, really good person. You know what they did in them days, which I didn't really care for. I didn't go in. You died, they had the funeral in the home.
Yeah, the parlor, that's
The
where.
I remember on Popular Street, someone died, and you saw the casket through the window. I didn't go inside. That was a little too little. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah,
But they had the casket in the parlor, so
that's
what
true.
they used to call the parlor.
Yep.
you
yeah.
know? But outside of that, it was a good childhood.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Tony Delia. We would go on bikes. We went on a bike, and I would sit on the handlebar, you know, and we fell. We fell, right? I got all scratched up. I'm thinking I'm going to get hugged when I go home, you know. I'm bruised. Mommy saw me. I mean, my mother saw me. I got a beating from her for being on the bike that I should have never felt.
You dumb
You know?
thing.
What sympathy? No sympathy.
What
No
sympathy?
My grandmother? Yeah, not
No,
my father.
mommy.
My father was a sweetheart. He was a sweetheart. He never hit me. One time he pretended to hit me. For whatever reason, it was Christmas. One time, though, I was a kid. I used to like to play cards. That's how I bought my first car.
Gambling.
1950 Oldsmobile. God, I wish I had that today. Yeah, gambling. I used to play cards with men. I mean, they were men and much older than me. And I played cards on Saturday night. Good. Game got home early and went to bed. The next week, I won $125. Then the next week, we played again on Saturday night. Good. I won another $125 playing poker. But this time the game was late. So I'm going to go home now. This is like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning maybe. I walk in. Who do I see? I walk in, right? I walk in and I see my dad on the right? He's on the right. I didn't say a word, so I walked in. He says, "Where were you?" I said, "I was playing cards." And I'm walking by him. All of a sudden, he hits me in the head. He slaps me in the head.
I'll teach you.
But what was so funny was that I'm laughing after he hits me because he barely touched me, you know? He barely touched. He didn't hit me, but he went through the motion.
Yeah,
He
right.
didn't hit me. And then I bought that car, $250. It lasted 6 months. But I never forget, he hit me in the head. He slapped me in the head, and I'm keeping from laughing. He didn't hurt me. He didn't put nothing behind it.
He didn't want to
nothing.
hurt you.
No, just wanted to make a point. What have I been doing staying out so late? He didn't care if I gambled. I mean, he didn't care if I was playing, but, come home, you know? He never hit me, though. Never.
Interesting what you remember, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Can you imagine going to the moon? 100 years ago, 120 years ago, they didn't even have air conditioning. And going to the moon? Are you kidding?
So the moon landing
I
was the
st-
biggest one. That's.
I put on the TV. I still don't understand how them pictures are men or women. I shut her off. They're gone. I don't understand it. I know these rare earth, but I just can't get it in my brain. They have these precious metals called rare earth, right? And I say to myself, what kind of properties do they have that I can get my image transported? This is like phenomenal. This is like the Twilight Zone. I still, put on the TV. You're looking at a show. Live.
extraordinary,
Shut it off, it's
yeah.
gone. How could it be?
Mm-hmm.
What did they do? Come through that wall? I mean, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
That's why I like film. Film is
Think
forever.
about it.
That's
100
right,
years
sure.
ago, they made most of these advances within 100 years. For me, it was TV.
TV.
It was unbelievable that you saw people in this little box.
Yeah.
And that little box took you to different places. I always liked different places. And that opened up a new world.
Was there an era before TV?
If there was, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I'm all struck as well with the moon landing. That's, to me, has to be the most significant achievement. I mean, you said the computer, but really, going to another planet is a different situation.
For me, it was two events. I remember when Kennedy got assassinated. That was big. That was really big. I was working on a woman because I was doing hair at that time, and it came over the radio. That the president got assassinated, and they, and this poor woman. I remember the shop was like quiet, really quiet. And I remember this woman's started crying. I still got her picture in my face. She'd walk in there, right through that door, I would know who it was, But of course, she's long gone because she was old then. And I remember she was quiet and just tears rolling down her eyes. That was a big event. That was a big event. Knowing that we could be heard like that. That and the moon landing in '69. That was big. That was really big.
Really.
Really big. That's my two biggest events. But there's a lot of Mazzu in a lot of different names, like Mazzucelli, and there's a lot of like variations of it like that. But no, I don't know anything about it. I'll tell you one thing, I was shocked. I didn't think there was too many of us with that name until you go on the internet. Oh my God. God, there's it's a mess of them. It's a mess of everybody. I don't care what your name is. It's going to be a mess of them. It would be my cousin's. There's his namesake, Lorenzo Mazzu.
Yeah. I don't think, I haven't had any contact.
That's
with
the
him.
ones I went to Italy and Sicily to see. I got pictures of him. Remember Grandpop?
Yeah.
Okay. Picture Grandpop. He's 5 foot. He's got 4 half brothers. Because when he was born in Pittsburgh, Daddy, my father. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I told you that. He was born in Pittsburgh. His mother died when he was 3. His father was a coal miner in Pittsburgh. Okay? So when his mother died, the father being, what am I going to do? I got to work the mines, right? He went back to Sicily, what he knew. Over there, he got remarried. Now, when we went to Sicily and saw them, we went unannounced. We just went to the town. So Mommy had the good fortune to say, you know what? Let's go to the town square. That's where a lot of old people sit. And they probably know where the Mazzus live, So we went to the town square. That's the most unbelievable thing that could happen. You remember Gumati across the street from us on Evans Street? Her husband, Frank, his mother was living with him. She had cancer. We went to the square where the people were, and Mommy sees this guy, and he looks like Frank. Gumpati Frank, they call him, right? She says, Carmen. Mommy says, Carmen, that guy looks just like your next door neighbor's brother. I said, how could it be? She went up to him. She says, you got a brother in Jersey? Yeah. Glassboro? Yeah. You got a mother with, cancer? Yeah. Good grief, are you kidding me? What are the odds on something like that? So he says, So we asked, where are the Mazzus? Oh, yeah, I know where they are. You go here and you go here, okay? Great. Then he says, when you go back to Jersey, tell my brother I'm going back to Argentina in a month. He was there for work, I guess, you know, or vacation, whatever you want to call it. He says, tell him I'll write him a letter. I'm going back home in Argentina, I think it was, in about a month. So we said, okay, we did. That's how we found the Mazzus. So we went to one Mazzu. Now, you got to understand this. You know, Grandpa, he's 5 foot. Picture this man. He's a successful farmer. He bought a whole block, and he was renovating it. He's a 6-footer with my father's face on there. He's a 6-foot, you know, Grandpa was 5 foot. Here's looking at a guy 6 foot, robust, with my father's face on it. Unbelievable, unbelievable. So they wanted us to stay there, and we did. We had dinner and everything, but we couldn't stay there. It was 6 people, you know. I went with 4 other people. So then we went to see Uncle Nino, his other brother. Good grief, he was as poor as a church mouse. He lived in a cellar. He was about 3'8". He was short. Oh my! I said I was who I was. I gave him some money, you know. I said, "Look, treat yourself to dinner on me," you know. And we left. One guy was real rich, and one guy was real poor. One guy was real big, and one guy was real small. It was unbelievable.
Variety.
Unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
There you go.
And they were outside. It was August. You know them big barrels? Just like you see in the movies. They were making tomato sauce. They were cooking tomatoes and they were making tomato sauce. Now the scary part is, I swear this happened. I swear this happened. I can't prove it. I can't prove it, but I swear this happened. We went from Messina, we left them, right? Now we're going to go to where Grandmom was born, the island of Lipari. Okay? And on the island of Lipari, there's a plaque about 5 feet high, maybe 12 feet long, and it tells a story in English about Ulysses landing there. You know, the Odyssey? And it tells, that was one of the islands where he landed, and I don't know what happened, but it tells the story of Ulysses. And across was a town called Aqua Calda, which means hot water. That's where Grandmom was born.
Jeez.
Well, when we went to the island of Lipari, I was on ship, right? And I'm seeing Mommy. I said, and I swear I saw a woman that looked like my aunt. My aunt, you know, my aunt. I just left. I told Barbara, look at that lady. My aunt's on board. She looked and she was gone. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. To this day, I saw that woman on that ship. But how could it be? I left her. But it was my aunt. I can't prove it.
Oh, well.
But I told Mommy, I said, my aunt's, what is she doing on ship? I said, well, she goes, where? I said, she was gone. That was another thing out of the movies. They were successful farmers, and their house was on top of a stall. Underneath was a cow, some goats, you know, and then there was the gates with the big gates, just like you saw in the movies. And they were pretty powerful in the town, really powerful, you know.
They were mafioso?
They were very, very powerful in the town. And
We don't know what that means.
and I got this on tape. It's before the tape broke, you know.
So he was the Don, right?
The little guy was. His big brother was 6 foot, but the little guy was the head man. I'm not saying they were bad. I'm just saying they had a lot of control in the town.
They're not bad. We don't think they're bad.
No, I'm not saying they're like everything in the movies. I don't know. They say there's a good side to them, the bad side. I don't know. But nevertheless,
Who gives a shit unless
I
the
have
person deserves it,
no,
right?
I have a picture. I have a picture. You can see this. You can see this. A chicken in a fig tree. I have it on tape. You can actually see the tape. There's this chicken next to the barn, this chicken is sitting in the fig tree.
Now, is that house still there with the Canaleros?
I guess it is, you know. We went over there, and let me tell you something. That little guy, he eyeballed me, made me nervous. He wouldn't stop with the gaze. Made me very nervous.
Yeah.
They're probably gone now. I mean, they were old then. This was like early 90s we went, maybe 94. So if they were, say, close to my age, late 60s or something like that, they're going to be pretty old or gone, you know. But there was a chicken in a fig tree. And I got the visual to prove it, because I got it on tape. You could see it.
Maybe we could write a song about that.
Chicken in a
Chicken
fig
in a
Chicken
fig tree.
Papa.
But they showed us around. They took us on top of this mountaintop, you know, because the town was Carini. There's more pizza places in America from Carini. Every place I go, there's, you know me, I was a pizza connoisseur, right? Every place I get a slice. We go up the mountains, right? Went to Canada, me and Tony, Connie and Mommy, right? On the way back, we stop over Bruno's by Jim Thorpe, get a slice of pizza, because every pizza place I'd get a stop. I go in there, they got all pictures of Sicily there. Guess what their last name was? Canalero. Guess
Wow.
where they're from? Carini.
Wow.
Because Grandpop's father had not, I think there was 11 brothers, 9 or 11 brothers. So this woman comes out, she says, your father, does his uncle have does he have a lot of brothers? They're from Carini. I bet you they were related. Because they have more Canaleros around here. I go to a pizza place on, you know where that, what's that clothing store? Marshall's or something, and what's that clothing store on Route 70?
Coles?
Kohl's. You know that on Route 73, not far from the new hospital? You make a right over there. Hey, we're driving along one day, right? What do I see? Canalero Pizzeria.
Oh,
That's
wow.
on my lawn. You know DeLisi's? You know where he's from? Carini. You know Riviera? That's Mommy's. His uncle is married to a Canalero. We went to their house and everything. But there's so many Canaleros with pizza, and it seems like they're all from Carini. You know what they do? All come over here, open up pizza places.
Probably did.
Probably did, right. You go to Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, you expect to have a Canalero serve you a slice of pizza. Crazy. Crazy. If you go to Sicily, there's plenty to see because it's like so old. But you go to Mondello Beach. That's about 20 minutes outside of Palermo. Got the mountains in the background. You got the ocean. That's where the Olympic team, the Italian Olympic team, trains, and they have a boardwalk. Really nice. Got good food. Really good food. That's what I remember.
You like pizza, right?
I like pizza now. My doctor says 2 slices a month.
Oh, well.
Guess that gluten, you know. But there's plenty out there. That's what I try to tell my granddaughters. That hi, honey. She went to Florence to study art. She went to art school there, and she was debating whether to go or not. And I said, "You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go." So sure enough, she said, but Grandpa cost this. I said, "So what? Go. Just go." So she went there. And she studied art in Florence, which is nice. And she's a terrific painter. I mean, a terrific painter. Very talented. So proud of her. I'm proud of her if she didn't have the talent, but she just happens to be talented. And she goes there for 5 weeks. I told her, I said, here's the advice I gave her. I said, you go to school every day. But after you go to school, you make sure you go out. You don't go to bed till you're late. I said, you get your rest when you come back. See as much as you can, and then we could discuss it when you came back. Am I right? And she did that. She came back tired, but she saw a lot. She went to Rome, Venice, the hill towns. Oh my God, she had a great time. I
That's
said,
great.
how'd you like it? She goes, I'd move there tomorrow, Grandpa. I'd move there tomorrow. I love everything about it. I found the people. I didn't have any problem with anybody. They were all good to me. They were all good to me. Nice to me. But I found the people from the South are a little warmer in nature. Their nature was a little warmer because the people. This is even today. There's a difference between the northern people and the southern people. They have a little thing there.
Yeah.
Because the government pumped a lot of money into the north and neglected the south. So there's always that little uppity from the north, And their food is totally different from the south. So it's all a question of taste when it comes to food. But I love the food from the south, Like you'll go to up north, you'll get that bolognese, what they call this bolognese sauce. It's like a cream rosé. Well, it's good if you like it, it's good. But you don't get a bad meal when you go there. When you go to Italy, I had all over the South, I never got a bad meal. I never got a bad meal anywhere, really. But up north, they say there's a little bit of snobbery. I don't know. I didn't have any problem with them. We went to Sicily, and we went to a restaurant, right? This was funny. It was a group of us, right? It was 4 of us. No, 6 of us. What are we talking about? So we went to this. It's the only time I got a bad meal. I didn't get a bad meal. It was seafood, so you got seafood sauce. I don't like that kind of sauce. So I ordered my pasta like I always do, get some seafood. And these 6 or 8 people that work there are surrounding the table I ended up paying because I knew the language a little bit, So I would be the one to converse with them, right? And you got to remember, I'm talking about dialect. Today, they all speak one Italian. Ever since the 40s, they've been teaching the kids one Italian. So you go from one section to another, they could converse because it's all one Italian. Well, years ago, you go to one town to another, sometimes you didn't understand each other because of the dialect. So I would speak dialect, and they got a kick out of it. So it was about, they were surrounding the table, and I hear one of them go, American Mafia. They gave me a bottle of wine after I'm done, a bottle of water to take with me. I said, where'd they get that from? Just because I was a spokesman, because I was the only one in my group that knew Italian. Yes,
You were a mafioso.
They said, American Mafia.
Yeah.
They gave me a bottle of wine to go with me and a bottle of water. No, I know they all had bidets. Nice homes, they got bidets. Oh, I will tell you this. In some areas, they still got the hole in the ground. Granted,
Yeah.
it's marble around
Yeah, I did
it.
that in
but they
Belgium
got the
with
hole in the
Fritz.
ground.
There was a hole in the ground, and that's how we.
You want to go to the bathroom?
Really?
There's the hole.
We got
You know what I saw in Sicily? Near Gela. That's where they had the invasion in '43. I saw a pillbox where they would have the machine guns in. That was really something. They had a pillbox still there from the war. Well, in Palermo, there's an area where it's still not fixed. You could actually go there and you see the from the bombs,
Like frozen in time?
frozen in time, yeah. But when I saw this pillbox, I said, whoa, I thought that was something. Oh, my father always had a garden. He always had a garden. I like to see things grow. I like that. I like it because it's real peaceful. You just tend to forget about everything. Just real peaceful.
Uncle Larry, what's your
Better than a
hobby?
doctor.
My hobby?
Putting up with me.
That's a challenge. That's not a hobby. I'm not sure I have any anymore. I like to garden as well.
Oh yeah,
And I
your
look
yard
forward
is
to that.
beautiful.
So other than
So
that,
you both got it from Grandpa.
whatever. So I enjoy that.
I got to get him over there yet. There's hope. There's still breath. There's still hope. It's got to be just me and him, Doug. The other two would never make it. Anybody younger could come, but I don't know. What do you say, Larry? You want to go?
Yes, well, let me think about that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, there was a yes.
We stopped at yes. We'll cut out the, let me think.
Yeah, but he don't really mean it. That's the problem. He don't really mean it.
Well,
I would go just to see us.
I feel
We'll go with
that
him.
I took a trip just by listening all your stories and all your
When we get done
adventures.
here, I'm going to show him
So
the
I
album.
don't need to go.
Yeah. When we get done here, I'm going to take him home. I'm going to show him his cousins. Because I got them all on the album, I'm going to show him his namesake, Lorenzo Mazzu, the one from over
Mazzu.
there.
Must be a good guy.
He was to me when I went.
That's straight.
My mom always worried. She was always worried. Always
No,
worried.
she was asking who was more the emotional type.
I think it was grandma. I think it was
Grandma?
mommy. No? You think it was daddy? I don't
No,
know.
I think you're right. I think it was mom. Yeah. Those were the days.
They were good days.
Mm-hmm.
Good days. Had some stinkers in there, but there's always, you can't appreciate the good unless you get a little taste of the
Sure.
bad.
Well,
I guess, I don't know.
the family, I mean, devout, of course, is subjective,
Yeah.
but the Catholicism was what we were grown up with. So,
I think it's very subjective. That's a personal
yeah,
thing.
it is a personal thing. Yeah, yeah. Well, each of them have their own issues, so they struggle and do the best they can. That's about all you can say, Feel sorry for Vicky coming down with that stroke.
Now, all things considered, we've been blessed.
Oh yeah, sure. I have to get off this bench.
Go ahead.